Hey everyone, welcome to another Airbrush Asylum raw video. Today we are going to show you how we use these templates from AirShot. This is a multi-layer skull template that they offer. We've got a positive, we've got some other bits and pieces that fit in with the skull. So pretty cool template. As I said, multi-layer. We've got our large negative template here as well, which we're going to start with. So I'm going to go ahead and lay that down first. Now I did spray the back of this with some adhesion, not adhesion promoter, spray adhesive. So it's going to help to stick it onto the surface. I've just sprayed it lightly so that we don't leave too much glue. The spray adhesive that I'm using is the Micador spray adhesive for artists. So I just got this from the art shops. I'd say that's how you pronounce it, Micador. All right, so I've laid out my negative area of the skull. I'm just going to tape up around it because we're going to leave this on there for most part of this particular design. So this will just be a really quick skull. I'm going to do this one in color, so just in normal flesh tone with a bit of sepia to give it that bone sort of effect. So let's just show you how to paint it and keep it nice and simple for you. So these videos are pretty much designed for people that haven't really done a lot of airbrushing or just getting started, beginners, even if you're a bit more advanced, that's fine. Now this star here, I'm just going to mask it up at the moment, but that is actually a registration mark. You can see that there are stars on the other parts of the template, so you just got to bear in mind which star to line up. In this case, it's the one closest to the artwork there, so keep that in mind. So let's get into it. First thing I want to do is I want to put a base tone down on this entire negative stencil. So I'm just going to use a flesh tone. The flesh tone that I'm using is a Trident flesh tone. So I want to just get some coverage. This is spitting a little bit, but I'm not too worried about that. A little bit of texture won't hurt. So the flesh is this particular one, so just their regular flesh colour. So just get some decent coverage on there. We want to eliminate most of that black. It's another nice warm humid day here in Melbourne, Australia, so we're getting quite a bit more tip drying, so bear with me. Oh, a bit of fisheye there, that's a cool texture. So depending on what you're doing, sometimes you don't want to see that. Most of the time you don't want to see it, but for this particular design, a skull, it's not too bad. It just adds to the effect. So I've run out of paint. That was quick. Let me just top this up. Okay. Here we go again. Just get a bit more coverage. So fisheyes are usually formed because there could be a contaminant on the panel. So meaning when I prepped it, I prepped these pretty quickly. I didn't go too fussy with the degreaser because I knew they were just going to be sample panels. So obviously with a proper automotive project, we would be a lot more vigilant with our prepping. Oogly doogly. So that's the first step. We have some flesh tone as a base, just letting that dry a little bit, and then I'm going to move to this colour, which is sepia. I love sepia, by the way. Great colour, because you can really get a lot of variation in the one tone. So now I'm going to remove my registration mark, expose the star, and I'm not going to bother about using spray adhesive this time because I'm just going to get a bit of an outline and then I'm going to freehand the rest of it. So I just want to line this up like so, and then get it into position. So this will be a test to see how accurate these templates really are. Thanks again to AirShot for sending these out to us to try. Always good way to see if what we think of certain products, and good way to show you guys some new products that are out there. I'm just going to tape that into place like so. And again, mask off the star, don't forget to do that, otherwise you'll have a star there, which probably is not too bad anyway. Now what I'm going to do is dust over to get my skull outline, just using the sepia. So I notice there's a few extra lines there, which I'm not too worried about because I've already got my exterior line in there. So just bits that you don't want, don't paint. I'll just try and cover as much of this as possible, but I'm not going to paint along there either. We've got that edge. So I think that's pretty much it. So I'm just really just a light dusting. If you want to check it, just lift a corner of the template. 2 seconds. So you can just, with your finger, carefully lift a corner and you can see how much that is standing out even with a little bit of paint. So always less is more, people, so keep that in mind. So we have the rough outline now, so you can see where we're going with it. Just put this template, get this out of the way for the moment. I'm going to put this under here, will do. Okay, they've given us some other templates as well, which I don't think I need to use. I'm just having a quick look. They're just extra bits and pieces, like a few lines and stuff. You know what, for the purpose of the video, I mean, I wouldn't use them. I would do a lot of this freehand, but let's go ahead and give them a go. Use the template as it's designed, multi-layered. So I'm going to do the same then. Just carefully dust over these bits just so that they identify in my design. Now I'm not worried about masking this up because I'm going nowhere near there. There's a little dot there, so let's just put that in carefully. Okay, there we go. I think we've covered everything. So let's remove that layer. Oh yeah, it's pretty cool. It's got a bit more definition. So there's that. And then they've also got these positive bits which you can use as well just to come back in when you want to highlight and even add some more. So there's quite a few options with this template, which is pretty cool. But let's just firstly go ahead and we want to shade a bit of this using our sepia. Okay, so let's just start with the eye sockets. Hopefully this is going to work for me. So I'm just following this outline that the stencil has provided. Let's go ahead and use a bit of this just to get a bit of a detail in there. Why not? There we go. Tip drawing. A few cracks. We are going to go darker again, so this is just our first darker tone. If you're not confident with going this dark to start with, then by all means add some transparent base to your sepia and it'll make it weaker, which is always good. Do the nose socket. So I generally start in the eye socket, then the nose socket. Drop that for a minute. Have a look, see what else we've got. Oh yeah, we've got some positive bits there too. If you want to, if you're a bit of a newbie and you want to use the template to get a harsher edge like this, it's pretty cool. You can also come in and sharpen up some of the areas. Like so. In the nose, darken that off. Now I'm going to work on the jawline here. Sorry, the jaw, this part of the jawbone. So I'm kind of adding some textures in as well. Again, if you want, you can revert back to your template. I think that's for the back here. Now let's just spray that in as well, why not? Go all out. So a mix of sharp and soft will also help with the artwork. Breaking it up, you can see that's really popped those edges. You can come along here and use some of these to really sharpen in spots as well. Not going to go too crazy with the continuously using the template, but I want to shade the back of the head here. Might go ahead and add a few little cracks in. So these are just quick skulls, remember, it's not, if I was doing a skull for a customer on a Harley tank or something, I would definitely be spending a hell of a lot more time than this. And 9 times out of 10 we don't use templates, so just shading that out. Now I might just switch back to my template here and just get a bit of a sharp edge along there. You can see how much that pops it out. Shade. The thing that takes the longest is the teeth. We'll get to that. Well, thanks for rejoining us. Some of you may have noticed that we did a slight edit, and I thought I'd point it out to you. I just had someone rock up to the factory, so I had to open up, let them in, so we got rudely interrupted. Damn customers. Nah, it's all good. So anyway, I thought I'd just pick up from where I left off. So apologies for the edit. Usually these raw videos, we obviously want them to flow nicely without any editing, but these things happen. We are a shop down here, so I did have it all locked up, but someone was knocking to get in. So anyway, enough of that. Let's get back into it. So we're just going to continue with our sepia and just keep rendering this particular skull design. If it is your first time to the channel, we'd love to have you join our community. We try and do 1 to 2 videos every week. So feel free to hit subscribe and tap on that bell icon. That way you'll get notified of any new content that we put out. So we are going to try and increase the amount of videos, but we want to make sure that the content's still decent enough that it's not just, you know, quantity and not quality, so we want to give you both. But we do all sorts of videos, these raw videos, which are obviously just a step-by-step, but filmed without editing. Sorry, I'm just trying to concentrate and talk at the same time. So I'm just putting these teeth in with that sepia. So teeth are probably the hardest thing that you're going to have to do with this template. You can go back and use, you know, the actual template to make it a bit easier for you, but obviously we want most of it to become, well, to be done freehand. Just having a look here. Yeah, those bits just pretty much help with those areas, but you can also use a like a cotton bud would help you. I might be able to show you what I mean. I'll show you in these teeth here at the back. Let me get Alright. It's got a little cotton bud here. And what you can do is you can actually use this part of the cotton bud, and you just spray like that. You can see it gives you a bit of an outline for the tooth. I'll just do it at the back here because I don't want to go right through, but you can obviously hit that edge, go a bit heavier, and it's going to make life a bit easier for you. So it's a good idea when you're just learning, and if you're struggling to do it freehand, then by all means grab a cotton bud or a Q-tip, as they're known in the States, I think. You can correct me on that if I'm wrong. Also love to hear your comments and what you think. Again, I'm trying to keep these sort of videos very basic, so they're more aimed at your beginner. So I'm trying to do these artworks reasonably quickly. Still decent enough quality, but I don't want to add too many steps and colours. You know, we're planning on filming more and more tutorials and ones that are a bit more involved, but for these sort of, you know, especially how to use these templates, we want to keep it simple. Just bringing in some of those shadows. Shading down as well. So now you can come in and refine it a bit more. I've still got a transparent black that I'm going to use, so I'm not too concerned about getting them perfect at this stage, but by all means the sepia makes life a bit easier, so if you want to start adding some detail in, it's definitely a good idea to do that now. You can also sharpen up this a bit, add a bit more texture. You can put a few more cracks in. Now what I like to do is I like to airbrush everything like that, and then I'll bring my shadows on top, and then I'll gradually go darker. So I always kind of paint in all the detail first, and then I'll dust back over it. So to give you an idea, I want a bit of shadow along this back area of the teeth, so I'm going to further away from the surface, I'm just going to dust over those teeth, and you can see how that then creates the curve. Now obviously I'm still going to put highlights and darker shadowing into this, but if you can in the early stages already make it look and appear to be three-dimensional, that's going to make a big difference to your artwork and the quality of your work. So just keep that in mind. Try and really shape things, and then all you got to do is accentuate your shapes and shadows and your highlights and all that sort of stuff as you go. So like I've mentioned in a few of the other videos, you basically, as you go on, you should be painting less. So meaning that when I get to my dark tone, I shouldn't be painting all these areas again. I should allow that sepia tone to almost form part of my gradation, my graduated tone, if that makes sense to you guys. I hope it does. And just play around, you know. This is, you know, you don't have to copy this 100%. Again, freehand templates, it should still allow you to express your style. That should still come out in your work. I think we're almost done with Sepia. I'm just going to add a few more little imperfections. So you can see, to create the imperfections, I'm literally just lifting my airbrush further away and pulling back and forth on the trigger finger. I'm going to put another crack in here. Starting to look pretty cool. And I'd imagine this is part of the other brow on that angle, so just paint that in like that. And dust over this a bit more. More shading. And I think that's pretty good. So you can see how I'm gradually going darker. I'm not trying to hit the area straight off the bat as dark as possible. And I'm looking back, sort of stepping away a little bit from my work, and just taking a look and seeing what it looks like from a distance. It also helps to step back and squint your eyes, sort of blur your eyes, and hold up your reference, and it kind of cuts out all your detail, and that just shows you your shapes and shadows. So what I've done now is I've switched to white. So you could also, you know, if you're doing this on a white panel or on some of the synthetic paper, you could, if you wanted more of a realistic look, then I tend to stay away from white paint. But for this particular demo, we're obviously doing it on a panel that's already been painted black. So what I want to do is show you guys how to just watch out for that star. You can see why, that's why I'm covering it over with my finger. Just while we're near that area, I'm just hitting that edge of that template there to get that sharp edge. Yeah, so you know, in this case I'm using actual white paint to create my highlights, and you know, if you've watched a few of my videos, you'd know that I always do this, or most of the time I do this step before my last tone, and I might even then come back in at the end and just brighten up a couple of different highlights. The reason being is that you'll always still get, doesn't matter how careful you are, you generally get a bit of overspray with the white, so that way it'll clean it up. Now I'm not too worried about my blue shift there, and that's why a lot of artists don't like using white, because it does create that sort of bluish whitish tone. But this skull here, I want it to look dirty and grimy, so depending on what it is, just be wary. Obviously if you're painting a portrait, you wouldn't want to do that, because it's going to make the skin tone, will make it look like they've, you know, got a blemish in their face. So it really depends on what you're doing. So I'm just, you can really notice it there, but we're going to come in with a darker tone and that'll sort of disappear. And I don't mind that look when I'm doing something that's a bit more automotive, and you know, I'm not trying to go for a photorealistic look. Just keep doing all your highlights. So just, if you're not sure where to put them, get yourself a reference picture of a skull, and you can still use this template and then follow that so that you know where all your highlights and your shadows should go. So hitting the edge of this. Obviously with this template, you know, I've decided to do it in those sort of bony tones, but you can do whatever colour you like, whether that's black and white, or you know, you could even paint it in black and white, finish it, and then put a candy over it. So put your spin on it. And just for those that are watching, this is the first time that I've used this template, so I'm making this up while I'm painting. I haven't, you know, given it a go beforehand to see that it was going to be okay for the video. It's basically just grab the template, hit record, and off we go. So far, I'm pretty happy with it. I think the templates are not too bad at all. They're pretty good. It's nice to have a, you know, multi-layer one for the beginner that wants to make it a bit easier to do all your base colours and your early steps. So it's a nice little touch. I'm going to switch to this part of the template which you get with it as well, and I'm just going to hit some of these edges a bit brighter just to break it up a little bit, so we get a bit of a sharper edge in certain areas. Combining, you know, freehand with using a template kind of helps as well. Just be careful, don't go too crazy with it. Just want to really bring out some of those highlights. You can see I've got a bit of overspray there. I'm not too worried. I'm going to come back in with my thinned out black in a minute, and then we'll probably call this completed, I reckon. Can also use it in here to get a few more imperfections. And I reckon that'll do it. So let's switch to our detail tone. Now I'm using a different airbrush now. Just going to have a go at the Segola airbrush, because it doesn't have a pot or anything, so I've just got the paint sitting in the inkwell. I'm going to start in the eye sockets. So this is a black mixed with transparent base. So it's not a solid black, which is kind of good. Just gives me a little bit more control, and it kind of blends a bit better with my sepia. I've over thinned this as well. I mean, this Mixtec 100 has a really fine needle setup, so kind of over thinned the paint a bit. So all I want to do is just darken off those shadows. getting there. Pull out some of these teeth. No pun intended there. Just having a little bit of tip drying, which is not a problem. Very, very common. I've noticed a lot of people have mentioned that they're happy that I'm showing you that we also are getting tip drying, and it's, you know, it's not something that they're necessarily doing wrong. Especially when you start out airbrushing, it can be really frustrating, but unfortunately it is a part of it. And there is no, I think there's no exactly 100% mix that works perfect for every application. It really depends on, you know, what you're painting, what airbrush you're using, what pressure you're running, what your temperature is, you know, humidity in the air, all that sort of stuff. It all plays a part. So I'll probably eventually do a video that kind of somewhat explains what I would recommend, but as far as, you know, it's going to be 100% perfect, that's, yeah, I don't think that's really popular. That's really possible, sorry, not popular. Okay, so I'm just using this at the moment. This is the positive template that comes with it, but I just wanted to get some of these edges nice and sharp. So don't be afraid to grab some templates that you have, or in this case I'm just trying to stick with the ones that come with it, so that if you do end up buying this particular template set, you'll have everything that you need if you want to recreate this skull and follow the video. But by all means, you know, you can even cut some paper templates. So now it's really just bringing out all my shadows, working on my detail. Might just run that across there a little bit. Yep. Again, just working in these teeth. The one thing I do like about these airbrushes without the pot is obviously you just put in a little bit of colour. You don't need a lot when you're airbrushing, so I kind of reserve these for my final tones, my detail tones. But the beauty of it is that there's no cup in the way of my line of sight, so I'm looking directly at it. That's sort of why I like the side feed as well for detail, because you don't have this cup in your way. So there's no obstruction. You know, I can go right up against the surface here and get nice fine detail because I can see exactly where I'm going, which is a little bit limited if you're using, you know, one of the larger cups like I was using before in this video. So it does tend to, you kind of then look around the surface, or look around the airbrush, so that you can see directly at where you're painting. Another thing is I take the air cap off, as you can tell. So this brand, Segola, allows that, so does Iwata. Not sure if other brands like Pash and Badger do. It's been a while since I've used them. From memory, I don't think Pash does. I think I know, well, I used to use a VL from Pash years and years ago, and I'm pretty sure they brought out a cap called a paint picker cap, which basically looked like that. So you had to buy that as an addition to be able to run it without an air cap. But if your airbrush allows it, or if there is a paint picker cap available, I'd highly recommend getting it. It makes for a lot easier cleaning when you're trying to get rid of tip drying, but it also allows for finer detail, and you can see exactly where your needle is in relation to where you're painting, so you can almost, touch the needle on the surface. You've got to be careful, obviously, when you've got it off, because if you drop your airbrush, there's a good chance you're going to bust your needle and your nozzle and everything. So make sure you put it in a holder. Alright, so we're just adding a bit more detail. I don't want to go too crazy, I could keep rendering and rendering and rendering. This is really just another quick video to show you how you can do a simple skull, not overly detailed, but still detailed enough to look cool. Even if you did this on the side of a Harley tank, I'm pretty sure the person would be pretty happy. And then as you practice, you can add more and more detail. It's just time. Once you've got your fundamentals down pat, then it's just a matter of even getting more references together and bone texture, that sort of thing, and just working more detail into it. But I just want to show you the basics, how to achieve it to this point, and then you can go from there. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to call that done for the dark and the highlights and everything. I'm going to remove this now, this template, and we're going to take a look at what the skull actually looks like. Let's just unmask this. Let's hope nothing peels off. Oh, it's not good when that sticks. There you go. Well, it's sticking, that's a good sign. Let's hope we got no glue from the spray adhesive. Alright, so just peel back carefully. And there you have it. You can see some little bits of overspray. But you can literally come in now. We're going to tack rag that. Got a bit of overspray there as well, but that's fine. We can fix that in the black. Bit of a harsh edge, so what I might do now is just to soften that, I will come in with a darker tone. So let's just go with black, I think, and we'll just hit that edge and then be done with it. Give me a second to get some black in another airbrush. Could also come in with an effects template, add some effects around it, but I would actually come in and basically clean that up once it's clear coated. But even by doing this, we're going to get rid of some of that dodgy edge or that harsh edge, and even blend some of that up into your design. The masking looks good, but we do have the positive template as well, so you can literally, that's always handy, you can have that, grab that, put that on there, and then we can hit that edge. The black is still going to be a bit different, but we can blend that out. I got a little bit overspray from that star, even though I was telling you guys to watch out for it. So it goes to show you, just got to be careful. So there you go, that's definitely helping. So we'll clean up, we'll just use this to clean it up, and then, I mean, you could add fire behind it, you could, you know, like I said, use the texture effects template, but for this video I just want to finish it off. I don't want to spend too much time. You pretty much know how to render it now, and you can add your own little flair to it, but real handy that they supply the positive. I like the idea of that. Just going to dust around there. And clean that up. And then we're just going to lift this off carefully before I check it. Better. And if you want to deepen some of these shadows, just while we've got the black, so you can run along the edge and that'll soften the edge. Look, this is going to work better once you've got clear on there. I'm just going to dust some of this out, the overspray, to neaten it up a little bit. But you can see here, because this is a solid black, I can come into my real shadowed areas and darken them off just to get a bit more contrast. But just be careful, don't overdo it, because you don't want to ruin everything that you've done. Probably just go in the eye sockets, even if I grab this and just hold that on there to get some sharpness. There we go, that's making it pop. On that edge. So you can see it doesn't take much and we can really bring that out. There we go. Darken that off a little bit as well. And then once this has got some clear on it, it's really going to pop. So this is just a regular black just thinned out. Okay, we'll come in here, may as well finish this while we're at it. So I think maybe that the transparent black was really good, but I think by adding a bit more of this, it's just giving it that little bit extra that we needed. Not going too crazy. But I reckon that's pretty cool. Can we leave it at that? I mean, I could keep going and going and going, but that gives you an idea. So let me just bear with me for a second and I'll remove this from the holder and give you a better idea of what it looks like. See all the detail. You can see it's still, look, it's still got that masking edge, but like I said, you can, you know, add fire around it, whatever you like, but you can see the detail now. And relatively quick, I mean, still under an hour. I mean, you can smash it out a lot quicker when you do a few of them. But apart from that, hope you enjoyed this raw video and us showcasing this particular template for you. Like I said earlier, if you're new to this channel, we'd love to have you as part of our community. So feel free to hit subscribe. We do lots of different videos, try and do 1 to 2 every week, and we're always trying to increase that. Leave a comment below, let us know what you think, and until next time, we hope that this has in some ways inspired you to go and create some more amazing artwork. Until next time, grab that airbrush, get to painting, and we will see you again soon. Bye for now.